unexpected because Greg is usually Mr. Reliable. So let's hope his granddaughter is still doing well. But I haven't heard from him, so I'm not sure. So the talk that I have come up with is called Miracles Come in Many Varieties. So we're going to find out. Okay, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank God for technology, by all accounts, the best definition of faith is found in Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. That's one variation of that quote. Most usually it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So in other words, we're pretty sure something's going to happen, but, until we see it, we're not sure. The word that is translated substance or being sure of comes from a Greek word that means to stand under. It is the firm reality which stands under something, like a foundation stands under a house. In a similar sense, it could be used to refer to the title of the deed to a piece of property. Faith, then, is the solid foundation upon which we build our lives. It is like the title deed to the things we are hoping for. It gives substance to our dreams. The word translated evidence or certain of also comes from a Greek word that was used for the legal proof needed to back up an accusation. Faith in the sense that the inner conviction that God will keep promises. Faith is like the evidence that is offered in a courtroom. It produces an inner conviction that certain things are true. Faith makes real the things we hope for. It gives inner conviction to our dreams. Faith makes things we hope for so real that it is as if we already have them. And in Unity or New Thought, we think, feel it until it manifests. Feeling is what brings things about. It's not just hope, it's feeling. What would it be like to drive that new car, live in that particular house, have that particular piece of furniture? That's what drives everything, is that feeling that it's real. So that inner conviction is what brings things about. And then quoting our author here, it says, let me give you the best definition of faith I've ever heard. Faith is belief plus unbelief and acting on the belief. So it's, you're confident that something is going to happen. There's a little bit of doubt mixed in, but the acting as if, and many New Age teachers talk about you act as if something has happened. You act as if you're going to do it. And belief and faith are intermixed. They're two parts of the same idea. You have to believe something before you can have faith. If you go to a doctor, you must believe he or she can help you. If you don't believe, you'll either not go there in the first place or not follow through with the medical recommendations or whatever. So it's action. Action is critical, and belief is part of that action. Before you step into an elevator, you've got to believe it will hold you up. If you don't, take the stairs. So belief is part of faith. It's an action in faith. Okay. Some stop their definition of faith right there. They think faith is belief and that's it. Faith to them is a pure thing. And that may be okay if you stay in your house, stay in bed, keep the covers pulled over your head. But, how would that further your action, your steps toward where you want to be, what you want to do, how often we want something to unfold. If you truly believe that faith requires 100% certainty, chances are you're going to stay stuck. You're not going to have any forward motion. It's like waiting for something to happen. You know, I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I get a divorce. I'll be happy when I get a job. I'll be happy when I get a raise. I'll be happy when I lose 50 pounds. You know, it's always that putting off action. That's, you know, something in the future is going to make me happy rather than something you're doing now. Let's say you've been looking for a better job and you get this spectacular offer, but it's across the country. You don't want to move. Your kids don't want you to move. Your wife doesn't want you to move. You know, you've found twice the house for half the money in this new place, but, you know, none of the things that you have here are there. So what are you going to do? So most of us weigh the pros and cons, and we ask for input, and we, you know, agonize over our decision, and that's sort of like staying stuck. You don't have to have 100% certainty, and you don't have to know how you're going to get there. It's not the how, and that's important, it's the what. And the how keeps us stuck. Almost always, you know, I want X, and then we think about all these actionable steps between where we are and where X is. So we're like telling God how to help us, how to do this, what, you know, and it's the what that's more important than the how. So our author is saying it's the big decisions of life. Faith is not waiting for 100% certainty. Faith is wavering between belief and unbelief, doubt and assurance, hope and despair. But faith is acting on your beliefs. And in our messages this morning and in the song that we were listening to, it's also adding in, I would say, joy and gratitude. You know, when you have that element of gratitude, it's much more likely that what you want is going to come about, and it's going to come about more quickly. Okay. It says, go back and take a survey of Hebrews chapter 11. Faith always means taking action. And if we think about the actional steps that are in the Christian Bible, it says, Abel offered a better sacrifice. Noah built an ark. Abraham left Ur. He offered his son. Moses left Egypt. Each of those is an action verb, some step they took. And consider the walls of Jericho. The Hebrews wanted to occupy this town that the people who lived there didn't necessarily want them to. And so this was the era of the walled city. And they had a message: walk around the city for 7 days, making all this special noise, and what will happen? The defensive walls will fall, and the city will be yours. So what did they do? Did they sit back and go, this is too much work. It's hot here. It's dirty. Oh, my God. We have to be on our feet for 7 days making all this noise. Did they say any of that? Presumably not. There might have been some folk who were grousing in the ranks, but what did they do? They kept up. How many days did they walk around the city? 7, according to Hebrews. And then what happened? The walls fell down. That's how faith works. So, regardless of whether or not we think they should have done that, you know, this point of the story is, you know, you have an idea about how to achieve something. There's some steps you have to take to make it come about, and then the end result is there before you. You know, it's the, you know, implementing those steps rather than grousing about them. I personally would not have valued a wall falling down enough to walk around in the desert for 7 days, making noise. Yeah, but don't worry about doubts. Faith is always mixed with doubts. When you finally get up the courage to act on your belief in spite of your doubts, then things will happen for you. And we've all had that experience. All of us have manifested marvelous things in our life. All of us have brought about miracles because we've done several things. We've had an idea, we've acted on that idea, and it manifested in some way. Almost always in some way that we weren't necessarily thinking of, but it happens. And we've all done marvelous, miraculous things with our lives. Yeah. And one of the key elements in faith is joy and gratitude. There are wonderful examples, not only in the Christian Bible, but other holy text, that says God intervenes on the behalf of us in miraculous ways. You know, we are an example of that miracle. Sometimes those miracles occurred in the heat of combat, where a vast army was defeated by a faithful people. And the Christian Bible is full of stories of miraculous interventions where faith and joy and gratitude played a huge part. Whenever the 3 guys were thrown in the furnace, you know, what happened to them? They survived. You know, when Daniel was thrown in the lion's den, what happened? He survived. When Joseph was thrown in prison, what happened? And not only did they survive those things, they came out and they were even more, you know, they had more than they had before this crisis happened to them. So miracles come in many varieties. Some are outward and spectacular, some are inward, as God gives us the strength to face situations. Illnesses, deaths, accidents, you know, that miraculous thing we've been looking for, a new job, a new spouse, whatever. Okay, those can be miracles too. Living by faith and joy and gratitudes mean you take those steps without knowing where they will lead you or knowing directly. If you were Noah, you would build an ark. And you wouldn't just hope it floats. You would take steps to make sure it floats. You know, oh, let me see, I've done this thing, I hope it works. You know, it's, if you're confident of what you've done, it will work, it will float, okay? If you're Abraham, you set off for the promised land, and not only hope you will find it, but are confident you will find it. You know, it's being able to say, I am the actor here. I can make these choices. I can make this happen. Sometimes it works out the way you hope. Sometimes it doesn't. But even that doesn't sometimes means it worked. Some of the best prayers that you make, the unanswer is the miracle. So, I wish I could promise you a long life and much happiness, but what will actually happen if you live in joy and gratitude is, I'm confident, things will work out much more miraculously than if you're sitting around like a couch potato going, oh, woe is me. So, and I'm sorry this is so short. The children's church is going to choke me, but so let's go forth and make a difference in the world with an attitude of joy and gratitude. And I will call Craig and find out what happened and get him back on the schedule. So, thank you. But at least we have wonderful music